Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge story. Florida Democrat Andrew Gillum indicted for wire fraud, false statements, facing 21 indictments, according to NBC News, Fox News, the New York Times, other publications. It's all over. And this is very interesting. He was the opponent of Ron DeSantis in 2018. And years back, Donald Trump said that this man was corrupt. Of course, it was reported that Trump makes a baseless claim against Andrew Gillum. Fast forward a couple of years, and let's read. NBC News, Andrew Gillum, DeSantis, 2018 opponent, indicted for wire fraud, false statements. Once a rising Democratic star in Florida, Gillum and his mentor are accused of fraudulent fundraising. He says he's innocent. So, it's interesting how Democrats always get indicted or charged for crimes related to fundraising. We have former Illinois Speaker of the House indicted on federal racketeering and bribery charges in connection with alleged corruption schemes. So if it's not directly fundraising, it's finding some way to use their influence in politics to enrich themselves. So with Michael Madigan, it's the 22-count indictment accuses Madigan of leading for nearly a decade criminal enterprise whose purpose was to enhance Madigan's political power and financial well-being while also generating income for his political allies and associates. They have it into a finely tuned machine. Do Republicans, are Republicans guilty of this? Yeah, sure, they're guilty of it, but not to the extent of Democrats. Not to the extent of Democrats. Even AOC is accused of bizarre relationships between corporations and political action committees. So, it's everywhere. Then you have New York Lieutenant Governor quits after arrest on bribery and fraud charges. Democrat Brian Benjamin pleads not guilty to several charges. New York's Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin resigned on Tuesday. This was a couple months back in the wake of arrests of federal corruption investigation, the state's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul said. He's accused in an indictment of participating in a scheme to obtain campaign contributions from a real estate developer in exchange for Benjamin's agreement to use his influence as a state senator to get $50,000 grant of state funds for a nonprofit organization the developer controlled. They have it down to a science, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just Michael Madigan or Brian Benjamin. It's Bill and Hillary and Hunter, especially Hunter. And Joe. How do you think mashed potato brains goes from $100,000 or so in net financial worth to $9 million? And then they say, well, it's from his speeches and his writing. Have you read anything written by mashed potato brains? Have you heard him speak? Slurring speech and going incoherent and just you can't understand the man. And so then you have St. Louis Alderman President, two allies indicted on federal bribery charges. These are three Democrats in St. Louis. And they were indicted on the same types of criminal accusations. Okay? Bribery-related charges, 2-count wired fraud indictment, fraudulently sought $22,000 from an insurance company for damages to vehicles he falsely claimed to own. All of these. So it's like Democrats find ways through their political influence. It literally states in Hunter's emails a request from a business associate in another country, actually the number 3 person in the oil and gas corporation in a country that's being invaded now under Biden's watch, that hired his son. The number 3 executive asked Hunter, according to the New York Post, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? And zero suspicion. Trump is said to have approved, he reacted approvingly to some despicable statements that other people made regarding Pence. He's guilty. We know he reacted approvingly. Indict him. Meanwhile, you have Democrats, Andrew Gillum being the latest Democrat, a Democrat in Florida, Democrat in Illinois, New York, St. Louis, indicted for schemes related to fundraising or related to illegal business activity. I mean, you can't make this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth city in just 5 or 6 months. You know, try to find the equivalent in terms of this, like, kind of continuous behavior among Republicans. Not Republican Party is not perfect. But you don't see Trump Republicans doing this. Sorry, you don't. Name me a Trump Republican that had to resign or is indicted on corruption, bribery, and fraud charges. Okay? They said that Trump was guilty of this. He wasn't. They said he funneled money from his inauguration. His tax returns were the epicenter of corruption. He was doing this and that with hotels in Moscow. None of it was true. None of it stuck. It was all fabricated because the best offense for Democrats is a good defense. Or no, the best defense is a good offense. So they accuse. So they're like the glass house that they live in, nobody notices. So they throw stones at others. That's like the pendulum is going to switch. My God, the pendulum's moving from endless investigations of Trump and Trump Republicans to now actually legitimate investigations where you can actually impeach mashed potato brains Joe for illegal activity. Like when you meet at the White House with your son's business associate, Hunter's business associate, and you lie about it, you're engaging in a criminal act because you're using the United States government to enrich yourself. And we know that from those emails, Hunter says he gives 10% to the big man, which is mashed potato brains. So it's within the emails. Like Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign within the emails. Hunter's emails show clear corruption. Now, Democrats and media, what they do is there's no evidence that there's any corruption. Oh, by the way, the Kremlin wants you to know about this. Well, where's the evidence that the Kremlin wants you to know about this? Oh, James Clapper and 500 other disgruntled or Democratic Party loyalists, Brennan, all these other people, wrote a letter saying that we should really believe them this time. That, it's a plot by another country, don't you know? They want you to know the corruption within the Democratic Party. By the way, hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash channel. I have segments up on there right now. So just go and watch those segments right now, ladies and gentlemen. I took a couple days off. I apologize on both channels, but this is really interesting. He's the fourth, or I should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's the 6th indictment pertaining to fundraising and corruption charges. And you can look, the Plunkett of Tammany Hall, a series of very plain talks. This is by a Democratic politician in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I believe late 1800s. And he talks about honest graft. And he talks about how he utilizes his position as a Democrat in New York to enrich himself. Okay? They found a way. Like Trump was a billionaire before he became president. Everything they accuse Trump of, they're guilty of. Like almost everything. Oh, we want to talk about collusion. Okay, how was the Steele dossier created? Then come back to me. But see, again, they don't know. You're talking about people who really don't understand politics. They understand headlines. They read a headline and Trump is guilty of everything. He told 30,000 lies. Try to find the biggest lies in Trump's administration. It's a joke. It's nothing compared to Joe and Hillary and Hunter and all these people. Nothing. Like, he doesn't have a laptop with clear quid pro quo like financial schemes. Okay? That's Hunter and Joe. He doesn't have private servers with top secret intelligence. That's Madam Secretary. Could you imagine if Trump did any of those things? And the 30,000 lies, none of them in the Washington Post are as consequential or as detrimental to national security as those two issues that Hillary and Joe lied about. But anyway, that's obvious. But hit subscribe to this channel. I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. I want to do it all over again. I want to do it all over again. Because we need to. We're still living in 2016. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. This is huge. The sixth person indicted on charges linked to basically just illegal business activity. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.